Hello out there. You're welcome to the Minority Report Nigeria. I'm Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
This is our first episode for the year, so Happy New Year is in order. And as usual, we have quite some grits to grind today.
Yep. People to bring before the justice system. Some issues to resolve.
Yeah.
I think, well, technically this one didn't happen this year. It was something that happened last year during the NSAS movement, when the Feminist Coalition put up a tweet recognizing that queer people are included in the movement. And then after that, Nigerians went nuts, and the backlash led to FEMCO deleting the tweets.
Yeah, I don't know so much about the backlash leading to FEMCO deleting the tweet, because listen, when that first happened, when they first put out the tweet, I was speaking to a mutual friend of ours, and I was like, this is strategically speaking, this is a bad move for them, right? But they must know what they are doing.
Clearly.
Yes. When I lost it was when they deleted the tweet, because nobody asked you to. You did not have to. They could have gone, through all of that without putting out that tweet, and then you put out the tweet and then you delete it. That is why I have a problem, because if you're going to take such a stand, you need to have thought it through. All this sort of like feel
showmanship.
Yes, this grandstanding just irritating to me.
I remember Pamela made Pamela Adie. She made like recorded a video on social media and put it out, and it was just so on point, because there was something she said about allyship. She was like, allies. To be an ally is not something you do when things are comfortable.
Yeah. It's comfy.
When to be an ally, because this is the struggle of the LGBT people, and so to call yourself an ally, it means you intend to see through with them, through the part that is uncomfortable and through the part that is easy. And so it's like, okay, so you put out a tweet. I'm trying to even think
because
about if there was anything.
Yeah, there was a Clubhouse thing. I wasn't there obviously, but there was a Clubhouse thingy they had where major players in the Feminist Coalition were sort of like rationalizing deleting that tweet, saying it was because they were, what's it called, something about either alienating people or stuff, which is beyond ridiculous. First of all, like, if it's a question of like alienating people, the people who you could possibly have alienated with that tweet are people who were not in your camp in the first place.
Exactly.
Right? It's not like we are dealing with people now who are who are dumb. They are not dumb. They like, you can't expect to put out that tweet without flack. And so putting out that tweet and expecting that there will be no flack, it's like, what planet are you on? Like, make it make sense to me.
Hey, I mean, it's not even, it's so much because this guy, what's this name that calls himself the social activist, Sugar Link. This man was a crusader against the Feminist Coalition during that period. Yeah. He was basically looking for all sorts of ammunition to fire at the coalition, at FEMCO. So, and that
was a low-hanging fruit, because everybody keeps saying there's a Western thing, is the West that's introducing LGBT, blah, 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 blah. So if you are going to take such a stand, which is admirable, and then I don't know what, delete, excuse you. That was the point when I got mad, because I was like, no, literally nobody asked you to. You did not have to, because it's almost like, oh, you wanted to use this to score some, virtue signaling points. And then it's like, oh my God, it's too hot in here. Like, if you cannot take the heat, do not fucking step into the kitchen. And do not come to further insult us with some nonsense about, you didn't want to alienate, like, what?
Because alienate people who? Like, yes. Who?
Because literally nobody sent you. Nobody asked for that tweet. You did not have to.
But then you did it, and that was fine. Did it. And that was fine. And then you now
deleted it. That was the point where I was like,
because at this point,
to be fucking
at this point, it's like you both pissed off the people you were trying to elevate, and the people who you I don't know, like it's insane.
Elevate is such a term that I really despise. Like, in this context, like, you're not elevating anybody. In the conversation I was having when they put out that tweet, I was like, look, I don't think this was the smartest thing for them to do, because there was already a lot of pockets of black, you want to hijack the NSAS movements. Like, is this whole thing for me personally, this sort of assumption, this sort of savior thing is something that really irritates me, because I mean, queer people, for want of a better term, were actively having these conversations. You didn't fucking have to insert yourself. We can handle our own conversations. We don't need some overlying flying ego to come and swoop in and save the day. And then you came and look at the stupid mess they made of it.
You know?
And it's now come and start rationalizing. That's the one that's even driving me mad. It's come and start rationalizing. You want it, like, next topic, please.
Social activism. See, we're not running away, because social activism in this country is a mess. It's like
gutter.
People don't know how to recognize the causes that they are fighting for and how interlinked these things are. It's like Shagalink talking about how he's fighting for the social freedom of Nigerians from the oppression of the police. No, I'm working my way down to the
gutter.
Yeah,
I think we are close to the edge cross at this point.
And so he exposes himself as somebody who's homophobic. It's like, okay, you can fight when you can advocate for, you can recognize police brutality, except when it comes to queer people, then you now realize that, that their own side of the story should be heard.
Which is very distinct from, okay, this is not my thing and I'm not going to fight for it. That I can respect, like nobody's asking you. But to say, okay, I'm going to fight against injustice unless is, an injustice that I'm okay with. Who the fuck are you really?
Which brings me to, basically I was just coming down to, all these problematic social justice warriors in Nigeria, and 2021 crown went to Aisha Isufu. The Madam
the Statue of Liberty.
Like her fist in the air was all we needed.
But here's the thing, like with Aisha, I'm not surprised. There's nothing about what she said that was surprising. I mean, it followed consistently with her rhetoric. I don't expect her to say anything sensible when it comes to LGBT rights and stuff. And I'm on the sort of place, me personally, I'm on the place where I'm like sort of like chill, like oh, that mad person is singing again. Okay, it's fine. Nothing new.
I love that energy, because it was the same thing I saw in a tweet that was made by Olumide Makanjola. He said he made a full ass tweet without mentioning her name.
I love that,
but recognizing that this is a mad woman that I'm not going to mention.
And I mean, it's like people that we can recognize, her activism, because she has been very vocal about the things that have been wrong with this country, which is all well and good. So if this is the blind spot this is the hill she has chosen to die on, like, my energy just like ignore her.
Exactly. I'm speaking of that, because there was all this outrage when there was the backlash against her for her homophobia. There was a little bit of pushback from people who were like, Aisha, who did this and did this and did this and did this.
It doesn't cancel it out now.
Or who did this and did this, and people are trying to deplatform. And it's like, but you can recognize she has done
some good, and then recognize
but call her out. It was the sentiment was like, well, if she said this, we can just cover it up.
People keep looking for saints and keep looking for, like, listen, it's the human condition. A person can be very, sensible in one area and be a complete buffoon in another area, which is perfectly fine. Like, the homophobic things she has said and continues to say doesn't discredit the work that she has done. It doesn't discredit the fact that she has been very vocal. She has whatever. That's all well and good. But to then say that because she has done A, B, and C, when she starts to misyan with D and E, that we just keep quiet because, what the heck is that?
But I keep wondering, how do you solve a problem like Maria? Like, how do you solve how do you solve problems like that? Like, people who are in positions of social impact like that.
I don't know that you do, though.
Really?
I don't know that you do, or you should. I mean, that's such a task, trying to solve. It's one thing, you could try to reach out to them, try to build some sort of coalition. But typically, people in this sort of instances, particularly considering that she's somebody who is in some, when it comes to certain issues, because religious people tend to be, the rabidly religious tend to be pick and choosy. So when it comes to certain issues, she's, oh, I am so flagrantly religious, but you won't enter kitchen like your fellow women, and be the neck and not the tail, or whatever it is that they say. So these rabidly religious people tend to pick and choose. So I don't know that it's everybody, because I mean, I don't, in her instance, there's a difference between being ignorant and being bigoted. Right? Being ignorant is not having information. Being bigoted is insisting despite having information. So I think she knows enough to know that, she has enough information to, I don't know, make saner choices and be more careful about the things she says. But then she chooses not to. So I don't know that, she's the sort of person that you can sort of like try to, maybe she doesn't know, let us explain to her for that. Listen, ultimately, it's the people who are, it's the person who is wearing the shoe that knows where it pinches. The liberation for LGBT people in Nigeria is not going to come from allies or anybody else. It would really have to come from within.
Which rubbish is this whole notion? Whenever like groundbreaking moves are being made by queer people, or people keep saying, oh, Nigeria is not ready for this, or Nigeria is not ready for this, and it's like Nigeria will never be ready for it. And so implying that they were not ready for this is sort of like saying that we are waiting for them to get comfortable enough with us for us to do what we must to live. You get? And that is just never going to happen. There's no movement that created freedoms for anybody that came because the society was ready for that movement to happen.
Yes.
People did what they did with the women's suffrage, the LGBT rights, all over the world. These movements happened in spite of the resentments and the pushback from the society, and they moved, and it worked out for them. Over here, we just
it's never going to be a cakewalk. It's just going to it will always take some level of discomfort.
Sometimes
it will always take some level of like facing off. It's not going to be a breeze. Nobody's going to wake up one morning and said, oh, I had a moment and I saw in my dream Angel Gabriel came to me. Gabriel came to me.
Speaking of Gabriel, the third crown of homophobia, kind of goes to okay, well, this was a viral moment in the Nigerian social media
Twitter
when this guy Bolu Okupe, the son of the presidential aide, the former presidential aide of President Goodluck Jonathan, he came out. It was just a very simple caption: "I am gay as fuck." Like, deal with that however you want to do it. And it went viral. And I think
partly because of his dad.
Exactly because of his dad. I think it was exactly because his dad then responded and made this whole religious posts where he's sort of like, I'm Christian, my son will be blessed when he's going through a spiritual struggle, and blah 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 and all that stuff. And you know what was so amusing about that post was in the comment section where people were commiserating with the man. Oh, sir, we are so sorry for your struggle. We support you. And it's like,
what happened? Like, what exactly are you supporting him for? What exactly happened?
How is he? What is his pain? Like, what is happening? Why? What is with the commiseration? What are you condolencing him for? What is going on here?
Ultimately, I'm just happy for the Bolu guy.
Yeah.
Live your best life.
I mean,
be happy. I mean, it's to be able to live your life on your terms is something that everybody deserves.
Oh, geez.
Congratulations. In terms of the dad, though, I mean, I think I am a bit more patient with older people, because it's like, I mean, I don't know that you would expect anything different from the typical person of that generation.
Well,
I don't know that you'd expect ultimately he loves his child. This is not justifying it.
Let me get a little bit personal here.
Yeah.
Why that whole thing, which is that it struck a very, very personal chord with me, is because I am currently going through the same thing.
Yeah.
In the case of my mother, for 2 years I have been out, and in those 2 years I have had my most of my family be on my side. My dad has been, he has his moments, but with him, I'm patient enough because he wants to talk about it. He's always like, okay, tell me about this, educate me on this, do this. He steps out of turn every now and then, but he just wants to learn. And that that's why I love him so much for that. But my mother, on the other hand, has been staunchly against any form of progression in whether accepting, tolerating, whatever. She's clearly been fighting against that for 2 years. In fact, this year was for 2 years we've fought a lot over this, because when you've made the journey to get to where you are, the last thing you ever want to tolerate is anyone trying to move you backward. And so every time our conversations go around the idea of marriage, being not being gay and all that stuff, I always push back, and we always end up having a fight. But this year I think I made the decision to not say anything, to just basically be a silent, just be a dummy when she calls and she starts to talk to me about all those issues, which turned out to be a bit of a mistake, because the first time it happened and my intention was to not say anything, she called and for about 13 straight minutes was talking a lot of homophobic, really ignorant, hurtful stuff, which I had to sit and endure. Now, if it was in the moments when I wanted to, my energy was to interrupt and push back, at least my noise would drown her noise. But in this time, I just sat there listening and assimilating, and let me tell you, it is almost as painful as a physical pain. It's just that painful. It's a psychological pain to hear something that degrades your humanity, and you're saying you don't want to do anything about it. You're listening to that going on and on for 13 minutes. So whenever I read or I see expressions of parents, that uses religion as a way to push back at their kids being who they are, it fills me with a special kind of resentment, and no tolerance at all. Like I have no tolerance for that. The least you can do, I believe, is just ignore the elephant in the room. You get? I feel like the least a parent can do. You can go on, loving, because that post that Doyin Okupe made, it generated a conversation, lots of conversations, of course, on social media. But one of them that I was involved in, we're talking about it, and some guys were arguing, oh well, he loves his son, he's just looking out for his son, he just had to say something for his son, even though he's saying the wrong things. And it's like, I'm thinking, but why should he do? Like, why did he have to say anything at all? He could just love his son, whatever love that comes in, whatever form it comes in silence. He didn't have to come out to make a post that recognizes that he is against the son's sexuality. Okay? And that is what my problem is. Like, you can actually not have a view on this. You can actually not say anything to your child, especially when you recognize that this is something, like when you know that your child has gone these extra miles coming out on social media to say, I am out, standing for at least 6 months staunch in saying, when frequent conversations with you, your child is insisting, I am this, I am this, I am this. It's just, it speaks to your humanity to be like, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to talk to you about this. Me and you, as far as this issue is gone, let's just be focusing on other things. Your career, your life, any other thing but this. And that works.
Yeah.
That works. Essentially, I got to the point, if a friend of mine who was having issues with his parents, you know, accepting him was out, he said he doesn't even need you to accept him. He doesn't need the acceptance. He just needs you to respect the fact that he has a life to live. You get? And so that's why I have very little patience for people taking religious stand to say, oh well, this is why why I choose to be homophobic or pushing back against my child's sexuality.
Yeah, you're right. Actually.
It's just not. I don't buy into that patience for that.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's. Listen, don't. This is my personal struggle. I just felt like I needed to share something to let you understand why some of these things are very aggravating. Because oftentimes when these things are discussed online, there's a sort of apathy that comes with it, a sort of distance.
Yeah,
because people think like there is really, it's just social media conversation.
Yes.
It has no application to real lives, to people. But there are people who are reading these things and are feeling wounded by them, feeling set back by them. There are people who, these things have impacts, you know. Somebody's seeing these things and they get back home or back to their themselves, and they feel extra confronted by the ever prevailing truth that Nigeria is not going anywhere so that will make him be free to be who he is. And that's just really sad, you know.
That's terrible, actually.
It's a terrible thing. But
so yeah,
it is
I guess we've run down the list of terribly behaved people.
Terribly behaved people.
It's really we see this. The last year was really hard.
It was.
This year is shaping up to be another hard year.
2021 is saying, look, the legacy of my sister lives on.
Lives on. Can everybody just behave like can we all behave this year? Ally, whatever. Like, see, there was this. I sent you that video, right? The TikTok video.
Where?
I'm an ally. Look at my flag. Oh my god. So I told me like, what? Who said that?
Like, it's true. Like, the video is a TikTok video where a lady recognized a trans passenger in her car. She's a taxi. She's a Uber driver. And so she's like, oh, I recognize you. You're trans person, right? I know faces. I know people. I recognize people. And she's like, I am part of the community. And then she now put out the flag. And the guy was like, okay, so you're into women. She's like, no. Who said that?
Who said that?
And it's like, madam, do you not know what it means? What you're doing? What kind of misbehavior is that? We should just behave this year.
Everybody, behave this I swear, year? Like,
if COVID is dealing us a lot of bullshit.
Ain't nobody got time for all the extra trash. Like, no. So yeah, it's a fun hanging with you guys. This is our first episode. There'll be more. We have a lot more in store for you all this year. So
yes.
Fingers crossed and keep it locked.
Thank you.
Until you come here next time, I'm Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
Ta-da!